Hello guys, this is Paul McWhorter with TopTechBoy.com, and we are here today with lesson number 15 in our incredible tutorial series where you are learning artificial intelligence on the Jetson Xavier NX. I'm going to need you to pour yourself a nice enormous mug of iced coffee. That would be strong black coffee poured over ice. No sugar, no sweeteners, none needed. I'm also going to need you to get out your Jetson Xavier NX gear and get ready to learn some cool new stuff. And as always, as you're getting your gear out, I want to give a shout out to you guys who are helping me out over at Patreon. It is your support and your encouragement that keeps this great content coming. You guys that are not helping out yet, look down in the description. There is a link over to my Patreon account, and think about hopping on over there and hooking a brother up. But enough of this shameless self-promotion. Let's jump in and let's talk about what we are going to learn today. What we're going to look at is the homework assignment from lesson number 14. And so just as a reminder, we can get out where we left off on lesson number 14, and I believe we were calling that program Face Recognizer 2. And what we had is we had a folder full of known images of known people, and each file in that folder had a name on it, and the file name was the name of the person in the picture. And I showed you how we could train on people in that folder. And the way we would do the training is we would come in and we would load the image using the face recognition program, and then after loading the image, like I load the image of Donald Trump and then I load the image of Nancy Pelosi, we then encode the faces in those known images, and then we create an array of encodings of our known faces and then the corresponding names of those known faces. And what your homework assignment was to go in and train on all of those different known images. Now, what you might have done was to just come in and continue to replicate this line of code for each one of the files, and then replicate these lines of code for each one of the files, and just kind of by brute force create your encodings array and your names array by just logically extending what we had done for two pictures to all of the pictures. And just as a reminder, I believe that we had these images in our PyPro folder, and then we had them in a folder called Demo Images, and then we had the known and the unknown. We trained on the known, and then we can go in and we can recognize in the unknown. So if we look at all the unknown, we have, it looks like a dozen or so pictures. And so you would have to go in and you would have to do these two lines of code for each additional image in the known folder. Now, what's the problem with that? The problem with that is if you come in later and dump in 10 more images that you want to recognize, then you've got to change your program. Every time that you change the number of files or the files in that known folder, you've got to go in and you have to alter your code. And what if you wanted to do 1,000 images, recognize 1,000 different faces? Then that becomes quite tedious and cumbersome. So maybe you did it the brute force approach, but if you did, that's okay. But what I'm going to do today is I am going to show you a better way to do it. So what we will do here is we will come over and we will create a new program, a new Python file. So we will come over here and we are working in, I do believe we are working in the Face Recognizer folder. I will come there and I will add a file, and I believe that we are on Face Recognizer -3. .py, and the .py is pretty important, and so we have a fresh new program here. I'll get this File Explorer out of your way, and now what we're going to do is I'm going to show you a way really I'm going to show you two different things. I'm going to show you an automated way that you can step through all of the images in the known folder and create that encodings array and that names array automatically. Then I'm going to show you how you can save that to your disk. You can save that to your SD card so that when you go in and do the recognition part, you don't have to retrain it every time you want to do a recognition. So we're going to sort of break the program into two parts. The first part is the training part, and the second part is the recognition part, where you just load the training data. Hope that makes sense. So in order to do this, we are going to have to load some libraries. We're going to have to load our old friend, face recognition. And that was what, probably lesson 13, I think, that we showed you how to install face recognition. If you're just coming into the middle, know that you've got to do an installation to get this face recognition software working on your system. But we're going to import face recognition. As always, we will need to import CV2. And then when we do that, we always like to print our CV2 __ version so that we can kind of see where we are, make sure we're all on the same page. Now we're going to have to import the operating system, the OS library. We probably used this in the past, but it should already be installed, so you should just be able to import it. All right. Now we've got to create those two arrays. Remember our encodings array, and we'll just start that out as a blank array. And then our names array, and we'll start that out blank. And then, of course, what the purpose of this program is to build out that encodings array with our known faces, and then build out the names array with the names that go along with the faces. Okay, so the first thing we've got to do is tell it where our known images are. And the way that I do this, I will come over here and open up our browser. And I will show you, if I go to desktop, we have our PiPro folder. And inside of PiPro is demo images. And inside of demo images is our known folder. So this is the training data that we are going to use. In the last lesson, I showed you how you could download this data set from my GitHub. Go back and look at lesson number 14 if you don't have these images and would like to be using the same images that I have. You don't have to use these same ones. What the thing is it needs to be in the known folder, and then you need to have clear pictures that just have one person in the picture and sort of a clear image of their face. And then you need to have a file name that is that person's name.jpg. Okay, so like I've got Anthony Fauci, Bill Barr, Charlton Heston. So you sort of put the person's name as the file name, and that way we can keep track of who's who very easily. So we got to kind of know where this is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right mouse click on my known. I'm going to say properties, and then I'm going to go here to the parent folder, and I'm going to say select all, and then I'm going to copy. And this is just a real easy way for me to get the path name to my folder. So now what I can do is I can say that my image underscore directory is equal to, and now I'm going to paste that in. So it is home, PJM, desktop, PiPro, demo images, and now I've got to add the actual folder name, which was known. I wish that when it gave you that, it kind of gives you the parent directory with what I just showed, and then you've got to go ahead and put the name of the folder in. So now this will be the path to that folder that has all the images that we want to train on. All right, now what I want to show you is how you can step through that folder. You can step through every file in that folder, and you can learn every person in that folder. We're going to walk through automatically every file in that folder. Well, how would we do that? Well, we're going to say for, and then there is kind of like three things. The root is what the folder itself is, and then the directories inside that root. So like root is the folder that you're in, and then the directories, dirs, is the folders that is inside of that folder. I guess I shouldn't say folder, I should say that directory. Okay, so you have the root directory, that's the directory that you're in. Then you have the directories that are inside of that, and then you have the files that are inside of your root directory. So for root directories and files in, and now this is where the magic happens. You're going to say OS, that's that library that we loaded, .walk. We're going to walk through those, and where do we start? We start an image directory. Okay, so that image directory we defined here. Now the first time through, that image directory is going to be the root. It's going to give you inside of dirs what all the folders are inside of that root directory, and then it's going to give you an array of files of the list of files. So you see, you can have directories inside of directories inside of directories, and then files inside of those, and files inside of those, and files inside of those. You can have a complex structure of directories and files, and this will walk through it for you. Well, the good news is we have something pretty simple, that we have this starting point, which is image directory. Okay, that's that known folder, that folder of the known images. We don't have any directories inside of there. Okay, we don't have any directories inside of there. All we have is files. And so it's going to always return root, which is going to be image directory that we already told it, and then there won't be any dirs, but this files will have the list of the files that are in there. I hope that makes sense. So this just magically is going to walk through every directory and every file that is underneath our starting point, which is image directory. Now what do we need? Well, I need to have the full path to the file. So if inside of this known folder is nancypelosi.jpg, I don't need just the file name, which files is going to give me. I need the whole path to that image. So I've got to kind of generate that. And I do that by saying full path, and this is just a variable I made up. Full path is equal to os.path. And then what do I want to do? I want to join. I want to join what? Root. That is my parent directory. That's the directory that I'm in, and I want to join that with file. Okay, and I actually, pardon me, I left out a step here. So here I am walking through all the files, and now I have now, when I do this, I'm going to have a list of files in root. That's a list of files. So now I'm going to have to step through those files. So I'm going to say for files singular in files. So this files array is going to have Nancy Pelosi, comma, Donald Trump, comma, Anthony Fauci, comma, comma, comma. It's going to have a list of all the files. Now I need to step through those files. So for files singular in files, so I'm going to step through that. Now I create the file name. Okay, and this needs to be in that second for loop. So now I'm going to get the full path to the file by joining the root with the file name. Okay, I hope that makes sense. And what we know is, we know that this is going to be the root because that's where we started, and we don't drill down. It's the only folder that we have there. But we are going to join that with the file name. So what I'm going to be joining is like /home/pjm/desktop/pypro/demo images/known. I'm going to join that then with the file donaldtrump.jpg. Okay, and so then now full path should be the full path to the image. And just to see, let's just print, and let's just print out full path like that. Okay, and let's actually try to run this, because I think at this point what it's going to do is it's going to give me the full path to the first image, the full path to the second image, the full path to the third image. So let's go ahead and try to run this and see if this will run. And we're looking down here in this little window to see what's going to happen. Okay, so look at this. You see, what it gave me was that root, right? And that root joined with the file. And then the root joined with the next file. So now this full path is the direct path to the file of interest. Okay, now so now I have got the full path to that image that I care about, but what I also need is I also need the name that goes with that, and here I just want just the name. So now what I'm going to be looking at is the file, right? I'm going to be looking at the file because that file has the name of the person, but I want to strip off the .jpg. So how I would do that is I'm going to say name is equal to os.path.split text, and then what am I looking at? File, right? And this would like Nancy Pelosi.jpg. It's going to split it into Nancy Pelosi and .jpg. All right, I want the Nancy Pelosi part, which is the first number, which is the 0th. Okay, so now if I do this, it should give me the path and then the name, and the path and the name, the path to the file and the name, the path to the file and the name. So let's try this. Ooh, what did I do wrong? I got a little error here in this one, so let's see. I have name is equal to os.path. Split text, it shares a T. There's one T. So now let's try it. Okay, so all right, well I got the name. Now I should print the name. I'm sorry, I didn't print the name. So now print. Good thing is it ran, but now I'm going to print name. And so now it should be just the name without the .jpg, and I should have the file and I should have the name. Okay, so you see, like on the last one, this is the path and the file to the picture of me. And then this is my name because I stripped off the .jpg. So I'm getting all the good stuff that I need here. So now let's go on, and now I've got to learn the person. I've got to learn the person. So I'm going to say the person is equal to face recognition. So this is where I'm doing the training .load. No, this is not where I'm doing the training. This is where I'm loading the picture. So I'm going to load image file. All right. And what? Full path. Okay. So the full path would be this. And so this is going to actually load the image of me, and then the next time the next image, and the next time the next image, and it's going to have with it, it's going to know the name of the person it is. So now I have loaded the image. Now I need to do the encoding. So I need to learn the person. So I'm going to say encoding is equal to face underscore recognition dot face underscore encodings, face encodings. And what do I want to encode? I want to encode that person that I just loaded. Okay, and that's going to return an array of encodings. It's going to find every picture, and even though there is just one person, it's still going to return an array. So we have to do an index, and we know since there's only one person, I'm going to be the first one, so I need to index it to 0, which will be the first one. It won't work if you don't put this. Okay, try it without it. Even though there's only one, you have to tell it you want the 1 in the 0 position, because it's kind of like a list within a list. And so think about that a little bit, but it won't work if you don't do this. So now I have encoding. I have the encoding of this person. So now what do I need to do? I need to put that encoding in my arrays. And so I'm going to say encodings, my array, dot append. And what do I want to append to it? That encoding that I just did. And then also I need to create my names array, the corresponding names. So names dot append. And what do I want to append? Name that I got up here. All right. So I think now I should have almost everything I need for the training. And let me just see now, let's say if I print the names, let's see if it really stepped all the way through. All right, let's see if it stepped all the way through. So I'm going to run Python file in terminal. Okay, it's doing them one at a time. There's Nancy Pelosi, Donald Trump, Seema Verma, Mike Pence. So it's stepping through them. It's got the file name and it's got the person name. It's putting them all together. And it's taking a little while, and that's why it is good that we are doing this. That is why it is good that we are doing this one time, and then we're going to save it. Okay, we're to Dr. Brooks, so we're going to do it one time, the training one time, and then save that training file. Okay, and look at this. It looks like it worked, and so here are all the people that it learned. It learned Nancy, Donald, Chase, Seema, Mike, Anthony, Chuck, Bill, Dr. Brooks. All right, do you see the beauty of this? If you wanted 100 people to train on, you would put 100 pictures. You would put 100 pictures in here, with each picture having the file name of the person in the picture. You see, we're automating it. Now, the good news is at this point we have trained it, but now what we need to do is we need to save that training data, and we're going to do that using Pickle. Pickle is a very easy way to just throw your data to the disk and then just pick it back up in the next program that we do. So you don't have to do a lot of formatting or anything like that. It's just Pickle will save anything to a disk and read anything to a disk. But in order to use Pickle, we are going to need to import it. So I'm going to say import Pickle like that. And you don't have to install Pickle. It should already be there. So we're just going to import Pickle. And then down here now I've got my encodings array, which is the encoding of each face, and then I've got my names array, which is the corresponding name of each face. So now what I need to do is I need to open my Pickle. So I'm going to say with open, and then where am I going to put this? I'll just call it train.pkl. And because I'm not giving it a path with a file name, it will just put it in my default folder. My default folder is PyPro. If your system is set up differently, you're probably better off by putting the full path to where you want this file. All right, so then I will also say that I want this to be write byte. So I'm going to be writing to this file. So I'm going to open the file train Pickle, and I'm going to open it as F. Now when I want to interact with that file, I don't interact with train.pickle, I just interact with F, because that is what we have called it here. And then what I'm going to do is I am going to show you that all I've got to do is pickle.dump. And what do I want to dump? I want to dump the names, that names array. And where do I dump it to? F. Okay, and then what else do I want to do? I want to pickle.dump and the corresponding encodings into F, like that. So I'm going to dump my names array and I'm going to dump my encodings array. All right, so now this should put it for me in the PyPro folder. If you don't know what your default folder is, put a path up here, the path to where you want it to put the file. But let's go ahead and run this. Okay, so I got Nancy Pelosi. It's going to step through these things. It's going to create it, and then it is going to pickle it to my SD card. And this will take just a second. Bill Barr must be a big image because, well, he's a big guy, so it takes a while to encode that face. Okay, Dr. Burks, Ronald Reagan, Charlton Heston, and then here is all of the names that we have done. Now let's check. Let's go to our File Explorer, and let's go to my Pi Pro, and then sure enough, there is my Pickle file. So that is good. All right, so now we have trained it. All right, we have trained it, and we have saved the training to disk. Let's do just a real quick little demo to make sure that this is all working. And so let's go back to the most excellent, www.toptechboy.com. And then what you can do here with the magic little green icon, you can search on Jetson Xavier NX lesson number 14. You can come down and let's get this second piece of code here. Right, on lesson 14, I did a simple one, and then I did one where we're actually doing recognition. Let's get the second one, select it, and copy it. Okay, and now let's come over here and create a new program in our face recognizer program, in our face recognizer folder, and this we are going to call face recognizer -4.py. Okay, fresh new program. Get this out of your way, right mouse click and paste. Okay, and so this was back when we were training face by face by face, and then encoding face by face by face, and then creating our encodings array and our names array. All right, now we're not going to train in this, we're going to load our training data. Okay, so all of that between Don face and names, we're going to get rid of that because we are going to load our training data. Well, if we're going to load our training data, we better import Pickle. Okay, because if we're going to unpickle it, if we're going to load it, we got to have that Pickle library. And so now what we will do is we will see if we can load this thing. All right, we will see if we can load this thing. So what we're going to do is that Pickle command kind of in reverse this time. We're going to say with open and then train.pkl. Now remember that if you put a path name to save the file, you need to put that same path name to open the file. So we're going to say with open train Pickle, and this time instead of write byte, we are going to read byte like that. And again, we can just do it as F. And now if we want to interact with that Pickle, we interact with F. And now what I'm going to do is, what did we say first? Names. So I'm going to read names first. Names is equal to pickle.load. Where do we load it from? F. And then what else are we going to need? We are going to need encodings is equal to pickle.load. And then load from F like before. All right, so now at this point, I should have all the training data in for everything that is in that folder. Now, if we add more pictures to the folder, we got to go run the earlier program again, that program number 3, so that we'll train on everything that is in the folder. But now what you can see here is we're just going to load a test image. And the test image that we are looking at is, it says U11, that's unknown 11. And then we find the face positions in that image. Then we encode all of those face positions. And then we have to convert it to we have to convert it to what OpenCV wants to show it. And now we are going to step through the faces, and we're going to recognize each face in the picture, and then we're going to box it, and we're going to label it, and then we're going to show it. I'm kind of jumping over this kind of fast because I went through this in great detail in lesson number 14. So if you really want an explanation, go back to lesson number 14. But the difference between this In lesson number 14, the difference is here we are not training in this program, we're loading the pre-trained model. So now let's do a run Python file in terminal. And on this one, I'm just looking at one image, number 11, whatever that one is. Pickle. What is this? P-I-C. Oh, you got to spell pickle correctly. P-I-C-K-L-E. Where did I misspell that? Encodings. P-I-C-K-L. Were you guys yelling at me? I hope so. That was a simple little dyslexic moment. All right, let's see what happens this time. Looks like it might be running here. Maybe we're going to get boom! Look at that. Okay, so using the training data that I grabbed from the disk, I was able to look at this picture number 11 and recognize Mike Pence, Nancy Pelosi, Donald Trump. Shazam. All right, let's see what other pictures are in there that might be interesting. So we're going to go to demo images. We're going to go to the unknown ones. And let's see if there's anything that's kind of interesting. All right, let's do, that was U11. Let's look at U9. You guys, or let's look at U4. U4 looks kind of interesting. So let's go to U4 this time. And let's run it again. All right, run Python file in terminal. So I think this is just really neat. Okay, look at that. We have Chucky here. We have an unknown life form. Now this is interesting that it sees that it's a person, but it's a person it hasn't trained on. And even if you had trained on it, it's pretty blurry, so probably would not have found it. And then here is Nancy Pelosi. And let me turn this off for a second. I do believe I can do that here. Okay, and you see there's another person back here that it hasn't trained on. And then is this like Steny Hoyer maybe? I don't know. But it doesn't even recognize him as human. And perhaps it doesn't recognize him as human because his face is blurry and it's kind of a partial face. And so it's interesting that these other two women in the background, it recognized them as people, but their faces are completely in there. And Steny doesn't have his complete head in, and maybe that's why it didn't even box him as a person. But okay, this is working really, really well. So what did we do? We learned how to automatically train, and really it would be easy to train on a large data set now, right? All you got to do is who you want to train on, put them in the known folder, and the only real work that you've got to do is give it a file name that is the name of the person in the picture. And so I think that that is pretty darn neat. So what is your homework for next week? Your homework for next week is to now take this and make it go live on live video with a camera. Okay, now really that should be pretty easy, because I show you here how to actually find the face and identify the face. But instead of doing it on a still image, you need to put this inside of a loop where you are grabbing a frame from the camera, doing the analysis, and then doing the boxing and labeling. So really, I think that should be pretty straightforward. I think it's a pretty big breakthrough that we're at this point to be able to so easily train our network. Okay, I hope you guys are having as much fun with these lessons as I am. I am really, really, really having a lot of fun with this. And to me, this is just going to be really powerful, because if you think down here of like our little cameras and our little servos, and remember how we were tracking on colored pins, well, we could track on people. We could track on people of interest with our little cameras, and we could track them with one camera, and as they leave the field of view to the next camera, we could then track them in the next camera as well. But for next week, it's just get it working with one camera. I do hope you guys have a Raspberry Pi camera, because I think that that allows more things in the future, because we've got them mounted on these little pan tilt servos. And so hopefully you guys have a Raspberry Pi camera for your Jetson Xavier NX. Okay guys, if you like this video, give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. When you subscribe, make sure you hit that bell so that you'll get notifications of my future lessons, and share this with other people. Let's see if we can start developing a little bit of a community around this project. Okay, Paul McWhorter from TopTechBoy.com. I will talk to you guys later.